what I want to get across in this podcast is we don't just poison our own water, we ripple that poison into every relationship we care about. And here's a deeper layer. What if the woman I met today, the pharmacist, the receptionist, the assistant at the counter, what if they were speaking to themselves with love that morning? What if their water was forming beautiful, glistening, geometric crystals? The kind Emoto captured when people whispered words like gratitude and peace. And then I walk in, carrying a jagged energy. Molecules vibrating with anger and shame, a face that signals danger, a voice clipped with tension. That interaction, no matter how subtle, will impact them, right? If words can change water, what are they doing to you? Japanese researcher Dr. Masaru Emoto believed that human consciousness, our thoughts, intentions, and words can actually alter the molecular structure of water. He photographed ice crystals formed from water that had been exposed to different messages. Words like I love you or gratitude created beautiful symmetrical crystals. Words like you disgust me, I hate you, produced chaotic, broken patterns. And if that sounds far-fetched, ask yourself this. If your body is made up of 70% water, when you beat yourself up, when you call yourself an idiot, when you spiral into shame, what happens to the water within you? And it doesn't just stop there, because your voice, your face, your energy, it carries a signal to the people around you, and they absorb it as well. So what if healing started with a single compassionate sentence whispered internally? Hello everybody, my name is Davy. I am not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I am someone who lives a self-led life, alcohol-free as fuck, and I spend every waking moment of that life helping other people do the same. Like right now, you have a little drink of green tea. Green tea with a bit of mint actually. This morning when I woke up, I did my morning routine and then I opened up my laptop. And the first thing that I looked at was my monthly tax bill. And like clockwork, the voice inside my head started to jabber on. How can we make any money if we're going to have to keep paying all of this tax? How the fuck have you got yourself into this mess? You're 50 years old, for fuck's sake, and you're worrying about money. You're such an embarrassment. Liza could have married somebody else who had their shit together, who has some mansion in Hollywood, and you're just this boy from Ogmore that doesn't understand anything about money. As you can tell, I didn't meet myself with compassion, and more importantly, I didn't meet the part of myself that was having a go at me with compassion either. I didn't pause. I didn't reflect. I just absorbed it. It just happened. And then I cancelled an appointment. My head started pounding. I felt heavy, angry. I felt shame in my body, in a tightness of my gut. And now if Dr. Emoto's work is bang on, that voice didn't just stay in my head, right? It changed the chemistry in my body. Tight gut, like I said, tense shoulders, cortisol spike, inflammation, fatigue. Ironically, I went to the doctors this morning because of those ailments that are happening. They're causing me to become sick. And had I not caught what was happening inside me before I left the house, my nervous system would have carried that chaos straight into the world, right? So when I went into the doctors this morning, I met 3 people. The person who introduced me straight away at the gate, the receptionist. Then there was a woman in the pharmacy, and then there was a third person handing out prescriptions. Had I not altered my inner state before I left the house, had I walked into the doctor swimming in shame, anger, and frustration, those conversations would have been very different. And not just to me, to them too. Because my nervous system would have been signaling threat. And their nervous systems would likely respond in kind. It doesn't take raised voices. I don't have to go in there shouting, right? It just takes energy. The micro tightening of the jaw, the clipped tone, the absence of any warmth. That is how dysregulation spreads. But luckily this time, because I was preparing for this podcast and doing the work, I intercepted it. Now, polyvagal theory calls this radar system where other human beings are picking up on your energy and the way that you're feeling, call it neuroception. It's a term coined by Dr. Stephen Porges, and it's to describe the body's ability to unconsciously detect cues of safety or danger in our environment. And notice I said unconsciously there, right? We don't do it with our words. We do it with the tonality of our voice. So as I'm walking into the pharmacy, the people are unconsciously listening to the tone of my voice to see if I'm a threat or not. They're also unconsciously scanning my face to see if there are any micro changes to my facial structure that makes me feel unsafe or not. So if I look mean, I'm unsafe. If I look really happy and smiley, I'm safe. Breath is another one. Eye contact is another one, right? Even the subtle rhythm in the tonality of someone's voice. Because according to Porges, your ventral vagal system, which is a part of the autonomic nervous system responsible for connection and calm, is constantly scanning for threats. Is this person safe? Can I trust them? Can I relax in their presence? Now imagine the impact of internal dialogue. So I'm giving myself abuse. I'm soaking myself in shame and frustration. That is going to change my face. It's going to change the tonality of my voice. It's going to contract my whole presence and the energy that I put out there. So yes, how you talk to yourself really does change the way you show up in the world, and other people feel it instantly. That is neuroception. It's the butterfly effect of your inner voice. So what I want to get across in this podcast is we don't just poison our own water. We ripple that poison into every relationship we care about. And here's the deeper layer. What if the woman I met today, the pharmacist, the receptionist, the assistant at the counter, what if they were speaking to themselves with love that morning? What if their water was forming beautiful, glistening, geometric crystals? The kind Emoto captured when people whispered words like gratitude and peace. And then I walk in, carrying a jagged energy, molecules vibrating with anger and shame, a face that signals danger, a voice clipped with tension. That interaction, no matter how subtle, will impact them, right? And just like Emoto's experiments, when you scream at water, it fractures. When you berate a plant, it wilts. So if I speak to them while I'm dysregulated, I'm not just disturbing my own system, I'm disturbing theirs. And that is why this work really matters, because how you talk to yourself is never just about you. We're going to take a short break. I'm going to have a little drink of green tea. You are going to ask yourself, what kind of energy are your words producing inside of you today? If you are tired of self-talk that feels like internal warfare, Strive Foundations is your space. This isn't about surface level positivity. It's about learning to pause. Notice a part of you that's scared, critical, or exhausted, and meeting it with self-energy. Inside Strive Foundations, you'll learn how to talk to yourself in a way that transforms your inner world and reshapes how others experience you too. Because when your inner world shifts, everything else does. Strive Foundations, this is where your healing begins. Go to www.thestrivemethod.com/foundations today. Now back to the episode. Welcome back to the 1000 Days Sober podcast, where we're talking about Dr. Emoto's work. And it's not just water. If you Google him, go on YouTube or whatever, it's not just water. There are experiments he's done about growing plants. And if you speak to your plants really nicely, they grow and bloom. And if you don't, they die. Well, all my plants in my house die. So maybe the household needs to look at the way we're talking to ourselves, right? But the key thing is, even if you look at Emoto's work and you think to yourself, what a load of bullshit, what a load of woo-woo, right? I get it completely. But just imagine it is true, because the links here to just the way that our biology works, you know it yourself, whether you believe in water crystal transformation or not, you know that when you are in a shit fucking mood, that mood impacts other people. And you know When you walk down the stairs in the morning, when you've just woken up and your wife or your husband or your kids are in a bad mood, you know, you feel it. So this stuff really matters, right? Now, creating this podcast today really helped me realize something. That this morning, when I looked at that tax bill, I hadn't actually met that voice. I just let it land like a punch to the gut and just carried on my day, didn't think nothing about it. So when I was preparing for the pod, I was like, shit, I haven't met that part. So I did. I took a moment to sit down. I closed my eyes. I turned inward and I asked myself, what's going on in there? And I found a part that was completely and utterly exhausted, completely worn down, overworked, anxious. And he was saying things like, every month it's the same thing. Are we going to make it? How much tax do we have to pay? Are we going to have enough money? Are we going to survive? But then I found another part, a really critical part, that was like, Lee, why do you keep spending money? Lee, why are you so scared of asking your wife and your kids to stop spending money? What is wrong with you? And then underneath that, there was another part, a younger part, a kid who never had enough. A kid who went out into the world with his mates, and while they were buying hot chocolate and a pasty, he didn't have money to buy hot chocolate and a pasty. When they were buying Adidas and Nike trainers, he didn't have money to buy Adidas Nike trainers. When they were putting 50p into Wonder Boy so they could play in the video in the arcade game, he just had to watch because he didn't have that 50p. And he felt so small and unworthy and ashamed. And he learned early that lack equals shame, that money equals worth, and that he was always falling short. So I sat with him a little bit this morning and I said, look, I see you, man. I'm here and I won't abandon you. What do you need? And he said, I need some help. And I said, okay, today I'm going to help you. I'm moving forward. I'm going to help you. We ain't spending any money today unless it's absolutely necessary. And I promise I will check in with you first before I make any decision. So we make this decision together. How does that sound? And the part felt really right. Now, if Dr. Emoto's research is right, that conversation I had this morning, it didn't just shift my mindset, it shifted my molecules. My breath slowed, my shoulders dropped, the tension in my gut dissipated, my water changed. The chaos began to settle, the internal jaggedness softened. And from that moment forward, the energy I carried with me was different, right? It changed the way my voice sounded, the tonality of voice. It changed my posture, my facial expressions, and my presence. So when I stepped into the pharmacy, stood before the receptionist, waited at the counter, I brought coherence, not chaos, softness, not shame. And that is a ripple effect of self-led communication, alcohol-free as fuck. The way you speak to your parts becomes a frequency you emit to the world, and it shapes your life one molecule at a time. Okay, today's vow. Today, I will speak to the parts of me that are afraid with the same care that I would show my daughter, my son, or anyone else I love in the world. You don't have to believe in energy crystals to know that this is true. Your body responds to tone. Your people responds to presence. And your healing begins with how you talk to yourself. As you glide around the world today, please ask yourself, what sentence have you repeated to yourself this week that's caused harm? And how would that sentence sound if it came from self, not your parts? If today's episode stirred something in you, if you noticed listening to it, your own inner voice sharpening, if you caught a glimpse of the tension living just underneath your skin, then let this be the whisper of change. Rate and review this podcast, not just to support the show, but to put one more piece of beautiful energy out there into the world. Because just like water, our words ripple. And your review might be the one that reaches someone whose inner critic has been running this show for years. Okay? If you could do that, would be a moment. And please subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's episode, right? A daily moment of coherence in a world of noise. Let this be your ritual of remembrance, because you are not your parts. You are not panic and you are not shame. And if you're ready to shift your internal dialogue for good, to create a nervous system that feels like home again, and to finally become alcohol-free as fuck, then join us in Strive Foundations, because what you say to yourself today will shape how you show up tomorrow. So make sure that that voice is love. All right? Okay. You ready to take the sovereign vow with me? Hand on your heart, one on your belly. Big deep breath. I am a striver who is alcohol free as fuck, and I will not drink today because that is not what I do and that is not who I am. Until tomorrow, much love and strive on, everybody.